welcome to this brand new season here on Sports Scene. I hope the festive period has been good to you, and I really hope you've kickstarted a year on a good note. Now, we've been off air for the last 3 months, and I gotta say it's good to be back finally because Sports Scene has a very busy year ahead. Now, one of the highlights on our calendar is the Olympics. That's the Tokyo 2020 Olympics in July. Hope you're as excited as I am. Now, Bradley, apart from the Olympics, what's one other event you're looking forward to as well?
Well, it's exciting times ahead for sports in Papua New Guinea, exciting times here on Sports Scene. We cannot go past the Hunters 2020 season under new coach, Matthew Church, an exciting one. Also, the NSL, of course, on home soil once more. And the country's Hekari, beloved Hekari, of course. Right. 3 matches on home soil, which is interesting for sports in Papua New Guinea.
And don't forget the trial matches, the NRL Trial Match.
Of course, that's another one. That's, of course, towards the latter part of this month, so an interesting one to watch out for.
What do we have in store?
Okay, so we have in store the updates on the NRL trials, which will happen in Port Moresby's National Football Stadium. And speaking of the NFS, of course, it actually got a facelift, so we'll bring you a piece on that as well. And the next one is, of course, my favorite. We've got something extreme for you, and it's about the Biped Tour that started in Lae and finished off up in Mt Wilhem, Simbu Province. Also, featuring this season is the Tokyo 2020, a segment dedicated to the Olympics. We'll have that in store for you on Sports Scene. And another segment, of course, called Have Your Say. So that's a good one to watch out for in 2020 on Sports Scene.
Yeah, that's for those of you who follow sports and have opinions you would like to air. This segment is the one you should be following and then participate on our online Facebook page, that is Sports In page. Now moving right along and introducing our first new feature, the Scoreline. This is basically a compilation of a number of competition results in Port Moresby and around the country. Let's take a look.
PNG will, for the first time in 20 years, play host to an NRL fixture. A trial match between the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and Cronulla Sutherland Sharks will be played at the Oil Search National Football Stadium on the 22nd of February. Mark that down. The game follows a Hunters trial match or pre-season match. The February 22 match is set to open doors for other important fixtures to follow throughout the Pacific as the NRL season opens up. Ticket prices have been announced.
Basically, the ticket prices are as follows. So grandstand tickets will be 120 kina. The western wings beside the grandstand will be going at 80 kina. The eastern stand will be going at 50 kina, and the north and south stands at 30 kina. So what you get for that price is 2 quality games. You get the opportunity to meet some of the NRL players that you follow on TV and some of the Hunters players that everyone supports.
NRL clubs have visited before as individual clubs. The Brisbane Broncos visited the home of Rugby League for a trial match against the Hunters, but the trial match between the Bulldogs and Sharks is the first for 2 of the competition teams after over 2 decades since any NRL clubs clashed on PNG soil.
We are very honoured to have, for the first time in our country, after many years during the Super League days, they had some at the stadium at the Sabert Murray Stadium back in, I think, 80s, but it was on the Super League. But this is the first time we have 2 NRL clubs coming in to play their trial here in Port Moresby.
The PNG RFL thanked the Australian government for its hand in the government-to-government arrangement.
The role that the government of Australia has put into under the Pacific Sports Program, allowing Rugby League to be one of the 4 sporting codes that they're supporting over the Pacific. Papua New Guinea, Rugby League out of the East has been selected, and in part of the selection they work with NRL in Australia to deliver the NRL clubs to participate in Pacific countries in a trial. So this year Papua New Guinea is hosting the Sharks and the Bulldogs, and again that's been made possible through the Government of Australia under the PASIC Sports Program.
The trial game's not just about a game of football. What it's really about is the impact that these incredible athletes will have in young community, in the local communities, engaging with young people, delivering messages about health and well-being, delivering messages about respectful relationships, and hopefully inspiring a future generation.
More NRL games are expected to be played in the Pacific Islands as the competition aims to spread the code.
Fantastic initiative, not only by the NRL but by the Sharks, by Canterbury to bring a game here. Like I said, you see what the Hunters did in 2017 to win a Queensland Cup. We know how much the people of Papua New Guinea love rugby league. It's important for us to come here and visit the people, spread the good message of the game and come and learn about what our neighbours essentially. So I think it's the boys are going to really. I'm thankfully retired now and I don't have to run out in the heat. But you know, I'll be definitely here to support, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for the people of the area to come out and see two NRL teams, first grade teams, professionals meet their stars, and you know, learn more about the game.
The match is a double header, which comes after the SP PNG Hunters trial match against the Central Queensland Capras.
Both NRL clubs in the Canterbury Bulldogs and the Cronulla Sharks will be playing here on 22nd February as a double header between the Interest Cup game as well, between the Hunters and also Central Queensland Capras. That'll be the Hunters' first pre-season trial, and obviously the coach will be testing out all his 30-man players. That game is expected to be played in quarters, and to give everyone a chance to get out there on the field of play.
Great story then, and we'll go for a breather here, and on the other side an extreme sport feature. And much later on, members of the OFC local organizing committee joins us ahead of the OFC Championship League 2020 Group A meets here in Port Moresby. Stay with us.
Yeah, welcome back. You're watching Sportsing, the first program for 2020, and it's an exciting one so far. Okay, moving on, the Oil Search National Football Stadium has been the hub for many local and international sporting events. The 15,000-seater state-owned asset is refurbished annually to keep up with world-class standards. This next piece gives you an insight on what's been done.
Okay, every end of the year, around about for a field tour, I start the renovations in November, and then after 1 month, I start on the main field. And it takes about 2 months for the field to be ready for play again. So right now, my deadline is February 17. So this field one should be open around about February 17. That's the Bulldogs trials, Bulldogs and the Sharks trials.
So the turf is like a platform for the grass to grow, and sometimes it can sustain damage. So if you have some water leaks in some of the sprinklers which are buried underground and they pop up, then too much water gets filled, it's very soggy, and you can lose grass, and you also lose volume of the underlying material, so that needs to be backfilled. And then of course during the rigors of a normal season, you might get little peaks and troughs and little bumps where the drainage is not uniform, and so the physical process of top dressing with sand, so we require about 120 cubic meters of sand, is done. We spread the sand, and it's just the old school method, but it's tried and tested and it works, and even the best use it today. You drag an iron mesh over it to evenly spread it over the surface of the turf.
There's a lot of work to do before the game day arrives. The grass has to be cut. Because we host the Infra Super Cup matches, we have to be in line with the Queensland Rugby League standards. So I've been to the Cowboy Stadium and I've seen what they do there, and then I come back and then I implement what I have learned there. But most of the things I've learned from the guys who have come and mentored me and the consultants who come in to teach and all that. So we have to cut the grass to a certain height. So we cut it to about 24 millimeters. If you see on the game day, there's a pattern that there's a light grass and a dark grass and a light grass. So we cut it in a pattern. We mark the lines, and the lines have to be 150 millimeters. The tape restart and the scrum lines have to be 100 mil. All those requirements we put it together. And when you come and see the field, because it's also a televised ground, so.
This is an annual process, and basically it's something we take for granted mostly, but in this business, your ground is basically how you generate revenue. So there's such things as compliance when you're wanting to host certain levels of events, Rugby League World Cups, FIFA Under 20 Women's World Cup, that sort of thing. They look at such things as field dimensions and then pitch quality. So the process that we do is a physical process followed by a chemical process that ensures that the turf, the grass on top, and the underlying material is in a good enough condition to sustain the events that we're going to run on that field during the calendar year of events. So on an annual basis, we have 11 Hunters games on average as a minimum. We tend to find out a bit later on during the season, the first quarter of the season, whether or not we get a Hunters country round game. And that game has been held in Ley in times past, and so that gets confirmed a few weeks into the season. The kind of funding that's required to run a facility like this, to keep it open, to ensure that everything is in top-notch and good working order, and that your facilities are compliant, is not cheap. It's not cheap. You're talking, several million kina, to be conservative. So the amount of hire, the amount of revenue we generate through our partnerships and sponsors is essential in underpinning our financial existence.
Moving on to something extreme now, and it's difficult to not feel a sense of excitement when one hears the roaring engines of a motorcycle, especially when it's passing through an area where bikes aren't common. This was the case 2 weeks ago when 10 bikers on tour with Ley-based dirt bike tour operator New Guinea Dirt rode through the rural parts of Madang and Simbu and followed National Highway down to Goroka. They were cheered on by locals who even encouraged them to do wheelies along the highway. Although it was a challenging trip for the riders, it was an experience to remember. Some even said they'd do it again another time.
This was the start to a 3-day dirt bike tour that would take these riders from Madang to Simbu and the Eastern Highlands. 6 of these riders travelled from Ley to the Usuno Junction, while the other 4 travelled down from Madang.
Getting geared up now ready so we can get on the bikes and start hitting the track, and then
They offloaded their bikes, geared up and took off from the Usuno Junction, heading for Bundi at around 12 p.m. This GoPro footage supplied by one of the riders gives a glimpse of the road they travelled. As they continued, the roads became challenging. They rode their bikes on rocky roads, steep mountains, and went through some wet crossings.
A lot of places we go to, vehicles can't get into. you'd either have to walk in there or you'd have to go by trail bike. That's
just being on two wheels on a dirt bike gives you a lot of freedom.
After going through a few challenges on the way, 2 of the riders made it to Snowpass in the afternoon. There they were welcomed by the unique firehead dancers of Karizokara. The 2 continued and arrived at Betty's Lodge at Mt Wilhem in Gembok, Simbu Province at 9 p.m. The rest of the riders had to spend the night at a village with the locals at Bundikara. Early the next day, they rode up to Snowpass and continued to Mt Wilhem.
The ride coming in this morning was a lot better than coming into wherever he was last night, let me tell you.
Wonderful experience. It's part of PNG you would never see if you don't get out.
It's the most beautiful part of the country I've ever been to.
Yep.
Thank you. Flowers, pigs, the most beautiful landscape.
Made it back safe and sound with all the section.
After resting a few hours, they were off again, bound for Pundiawa. This time, accompanied by members of the Simbu Bikers Club. They toured Pundiawa town with the Simbu Bikers, did a few wheelies, and continued to Goroka, ending the New Guinea Day at Mt Wilhem tour from the 1st to the 3rd of February.
Nothing's given, everything is, you set out with a end target, and how you get there is not given. It's an experience that evolves around every corner.
The dirt bikers or adventure tourist guys, they come for the adventure. It's not something that's packaged, not something that's off the shelf. They want something that's a unique experience. And every time we ride, we have a unique experience. This is no different. We've had several unique experiences.
A great story there from Lucy. Thank you very much. We really get to see those sorts of stories on the screens, and that's a good one.
That's right. I'm actually thinking I should buy a bike, maybe get into bike riding as well, I think.
Why not?
I should buy a bike.
Why not? It's good to try it out. Yeah, don't touch that dial. Tokyo 2020 segment coming up next, where we take a look at Toya Whistle's preparations, her efforts for qualification, and the selection process. That's up next.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the season opener here on Sportscene, and this is the Tokyo 2020 segment. We're now 162 days out from Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and Papua New Guinea's most elite athletes are currently slowly but surely making their intentions clear as they join the rest of athletes worldwide to vie for a sport. Pacific Sprint Queen and our very own Toya Whistle is currently ranked 102 in the world, and that is something she looks to change for the better as she continues her qualifying leg for Tokyo Olympics. She will have to collect enough points to jump the ranks up to top 50. That means she needs to compete in more competitions. This sentiment was shared by the sprinter just before she left for Australia last month to begin her qualifying efforts.
Here she comes, our great champ, Tonga second, last 50 down here on the main straight.
Her fastest this year has been...
Every 4 years come to Olympics, all the rules and it changes in every Olympics you go to. Like the previous 2 Olympics I went to, you need to qualify, or if you fastest in which country, wherever you're in, they can select you. But for 2012, I didn't qualify, but I was best of the time I ran, so they select me to go for that. And 2016, they put a qualifying time, and I qualified to win there. So this year, Tokyo Olympics totally changed, so the time getting more faster and quicker. So in a ranking wise, I need to be top 50 to get into the team, or you need to run fastest time to go into the to the team. So my current time in the Pacific Games, or last year I ran, so that was 11.5 with less training and stress and stuff, but this year I'm fresh and trying to cut my time down before the Olympics.
However, Athletics PNG President Tony Green explained that the process from previous Olympic Games where athletics had a minimum quota of 2 athletes, that's 1 male and female, under the universal rule is no longer in place. Instead, this edition will see only 1 universal place available in athletics, which means only the top performing athlete will be nominated to take the sport.
We expect to be selecting 1 athlete, and we'll do that by reference to the world ranking. There's a new system now where every athlete who competes internationally in a certain number of events, they'll have a world ranking. So the athletes who are interested in making a bid for the Olympics, they have to compete, and we'll select the athlete with the highest ranking.
Toya's fight for that spot will take her through a series of meets in Australia and New Zealand over the next few weeks before she heads to Nanjing, China for the World Indoor Championships, where she will run the 60-meter dash.
Like current right now, I'm like ranking 102 in the world right now, but I need to run fastest time. The more competition you run, the better time you will get. So for me, my aim to just go out there and training and compete to cut my time down to trying to be top 50 in the world to just get into the Olympics team.
Meanwhile, PNG long jumper and Pacific Games silver and gold medalist Relly Kaputin, who was named PNG's top performing athlete in athletics a few months back, is now going through an uphill climb as she strives towards being competition ready in the little time available.
I think it happened 2 weeks after the Pacific Games when we came back. That's where it was my time period of resting. I was just giving some rest, but then I was slowly getting back to training. And I think they asked me to do some demonstration to the kids. So that's when I heard the crack on my right leg, and I knew definitely that it was a fracture or something serious. So.
Now, with an outstanding Oceania Championships performance last June and later the Pacific Games, Kaputin was a promising candidate for qualification. But with her still battling injury, she will be missing the big competitions in Australia in the next few weeks.
Relly got that injury in August last year. She is now ready to return to full training. So we don't really know where Relly is at the moment until she gets back into training, and we'll see whether it's possible in the time she has available for her to get back to where she was last year. So apart from Relly and Toya, really it's open. There are a couple of athletes overseas that could feature if anything unforeseen happened to, say, Toya, for example. There are a couple of other athletes that might rise to the occasion and be at a level where we could consider them.
Toya, on the other hand, looks to make this her 3rd Olympics.
I've always been confident, like you need to be training hard, and the hard work you put in, the better results you get. So for me, I've always been confident with the performance and athletics, my passion. So I wanna, finish my career when I'm retiring, look back, and you don't want to regret.
Yeah, Dini, great story there. Now, Toya Whistle is amongst other athletes we have in the country,
right.
Also vying for a spot in the Tokyo 2020.
Yeah. For other sports, right now I'm hearing weightlifting as well, which that story will be coming up in the next episode. But for now, athletics, of course, Toya is the only one that's out there right now trying to make it into the Olympics. Relly Kaputin, who was like as you watched in the story earlier, Relly was the most top-performing athlete a few months back, but after the injury last August, that stat is yet.
Yeah.
We don't know whether she'll be able to be ready in time to actually attend some qualifiers to get into the Olympics. For Toya, it's an uphill battle for her. 102 to jump up to top 50. It's going to be a battle to get into top 50 because the selection process has changed.
Of course.
And the stakes are now higher. It's now that only the top performing athlete that goes in. Previously, they allow a top performing male and female to make it into the Olympics. Now it's just top performing athletes. So the stakes are higher and they have to push harder. If Relly or Toya wants to make it, they have to push.
True. With the new system, of course, in play, it makes it extra difficult for the athletes. You know, as someone in the business of elite sports, if you miss certain segments or training schedules, or if you miss an event, that means you go 2 or 3 steps back.
That's right.
It makes it
I've been following Toya Whistle for a while, her sporting career for the last few years. And one thing that stood out is she, in the last Olympics and the previous one, she attended on average about 30 preparational events to make it into the Olympics. But for this year, there's a very big cut on the number of events she's attending. So I really hope she gives it her best shot and try to collect as many points as she can to get in there.
All the best to the sprint queen and the rest of the athletes vying for a spot in the PNG team to represent the country in Tokyo 2020. Don't go away. We'll take a short break and be back on the other side with more of Sportsing. You're welcome back. Good to have your company. You're watching Sportsing. The biggest electorate in the city now has its own league. This is the Port Moresby North East Rugby League Association. The league becomes the 5th league in the city, affiliated to the national body, PNG Rugby Football League. A soft launch for the city's new league. It's known as the Port Moresby North East Rugby League Association.
I'd like to thank the honourable member. PRL has almost 1,000 rugby league players. Moresby South 800. Moresby Suburban's got almost 1,200 players. Motopoita 800. So when you calculate the total number of players in the city, they're almost 7,000. What the competitions we currently have can cater for only 3,000, and that's a big bonus for the inclusion of Northeast into the whole program.
The league's introduction comes off the back of tireless negotiations with the PNG Rugby Football League to have an established competition for the city's most populated electorate. Huge support has come from its political head.
Well, the first prize for Moresby Northeast Rugby League A grade is 50,000 kina. And my district is willing to fund $500,000 as a starter-up capital. And I will be asking my governor, and I will be asking the city manager, because we are one community.
PNG RFL welcomes the inclusion of the competition.
Issues or incidents that come out of unregulated sport is beyond PNG RFL. Right. We really can't stop them from playing, but we try to get the message out that we encourage our players and officials not to take part in unregulated sport, because it comes with a lot of risks which we as a sport and regulating body of the sport in the country cannot guarantee. So I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the sport for encouraging and for actually thanking the honourable member to realise the opportunity to affiliate to the PNG RFL, and on behalf of the PNG RFL board, in support of my Southern Confed Director, I want to welcome you to the big family of PNG RFL.
Although a team of volunteer administrators have been put in place to run the competition.
As a new elected president for Port Moresby North East Rugby League, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the youths. If you live in Port Moresby North East in our electorate, there is 3 divisions that we are going to register, A and B grade, and under 20 for girls and the boys. So it started now, so we are looking into start our 3 season. It's going to be mentioned by my operation manager, but the season gonna be kickstart by end of the month.
Clubs are writing to us, expressing showing interest. The board will sit on that, and requirements are requirements. So it's a league. They have to meet all the requirements, which is constituted under the Rugby League PNG RFL. So all the requirements, everyone that take part in Rugby League, they know the requirements.
Moving on to football now, and the Port Moresby Soccer Association is the biggest league affiliate of the PNG Football Association. It is embracing the 2020 season with much promise to make football great again in the city.
The Port Moresby Soccer Association has been through tough times in recent years, and with the new administration headed by Joseph Veladona, they want to see change in the association.
We'll come up with a strategic plan of how PMSA will move forward and our business plan of how funding support and corporate support can assist us achieve our strategic plans.
Basically, what we would like to do is set up pillars to help us improve the way PMSA sells football in the city.
The association has a colorful calendar lined up for the 2020 season.
We will introduce slowly but effectively futsal and beach soccer. We have termed them as our social football competition, while the ones I have announced earlier are our competitive football competition. We have a lot of outstanding fees from 2019. It's something that's not new. We've been facing that all these years. So our attempt at PMSA is to try and assist our clubs to ensure that we look after our clubs and our players, to pay properly in a way that all of us are happy with. So we have given some, we are owed about 100,000, over 100,000 from the clubs. Some are paying, and I want to thank them. We're giving a flexibility for them to pay slowly. But there will be directives going out to clubs that they need to pay up before the season proper.
Women's League is a big part of that plan.
We want a 50-50 participation, meaning we want as many girls to also come and play football under what we're doing. That's why we've realigned our competition. We've basically put in an under-23 competition that focuses on the youth, especially the girls, 18 to 23 years of age. We've also looking at options of creating a competition specifically for girls that we can put our investments in and get people to come and support our women's competition. And that will be headed by Rista and her team. Would really like to make that an integral part of what we're all about in our strategic plan.
Welcome back. You're watching Sports Scene Season Opener. Now, in this segment, we feature a bit called Have Your Say. Now, this is where we shine a light on any sporting topic that needs scrutiny. And we encourage you, our viewers, to share your thoughts on topics discussed via our Sporting page on Facebook. Now, this week's topic is former NRL star Darren Lockyer's involvement with Mayor Resources Holdings and their presence in the country.
Rugby League is very popular in Papua New Guinea. Every time I come here, every time any Rugby League player comes here, past or present, they're well recognised. So Rugby League's a great way, sport is a great way, but in particular Rugby League here is a great way to bring people together. So if we're out in the communities, we've quite often hosted Rugby League games, and Mayor's been able to sponsor those competitions. Because again, it brings people together. Some people might be in conflict, yet Rugby League is a way to bring them together and try and resolve the differences. But look, Sam was there, to do exactly that, bring people together. It was a great day for the people that attended. But there's always going to be some minority people out there that are going to try and find the cynical and the negative components to it. But we have a responsibility to deal with the communities that we work in, and from my perspective, using sport and rugby league is a great way, I guess, to sort of give something back to the communities. And we're not using rugby league to try and gain advantage for the company. I just happen to be an ex-rugby league player, but I've moved into other, since I've retired from football, I still work in the media around rugby league, but I have other business interests, and Mayo is one of them. As I said, I'm a shareholder, I've been a shareholder for a long time. I have an official position here, and we're looking to progress our projects. And if we didn't think that these projects were going to be in the best interest of the people of PNG, then I wouldn't be here. Coal's it's a topical point.
Let's be clear with one thing, this would not usually cross our radar, but it did. Reason being, Darren Lockyer is apparently involved in a rugby league competition in Kainantu, Eastern Highlands Province, while on the other hand, he is also a shareholder in the Maya Resources Holdings, a company that is pushing to mine coal in Gulf Province. But he is obviously remembered well as a rugby league star. And I feel that it is somewhat an abuse of the code of rugby league, especially in a rugby league mad nation. Bradley, your thoughts?
Well, basically in the world of brands and of products, you have brand ambassadors. Yep. And sports is one avenue where companies target. Yep. This, of course, is not a brand, but a company that actually mines coal. And, of course, Darren Lockyer, apparently, according to the company's website, is the head of business affairs. So he's already attached with the company as an employee, and also at the same time involved with the Brisbane Broncos, where he is an active board member. Yes. Now, there have been many concerns already raised in the circles of communication in social media, obviously on the topic, and why a rugby league star who has been involved so much with our people on television, that's right, now promoting coal mining in Papua New Guinea.
Something they're still pushing for. And I happened to come across a picture featuring Darren Lockyer and the mining minister. And while we may encourage the use of sports for key social messaging, it is an outright abuse. For myself personally, I don't know what you viewers may think, and that you go online and share your thoughts with us. But I personally think it is an outright abuse of the code to drive an agenda that is not, that is yet to be proven to be of any benefit to our people.
Yes, of course, in a world that's currently fighting against global warming, the fight against coal, of course, is extreme, and there are outright movements criticizing the use of coal in current space of living where people are at the moment, and it's a big topic at the moment. There have been many who have gone on social media and criticized the rugby league legend of his involvement, notably Northern Governor, who's been very vocal on climate change issues, and he stated that rugby league, the country's #1 sport, shouldn't be used as an excuse for which to drive the agenda of coal mining in Papua New Guinea. Of course, we understand that that company already has interest not only in coal production for electricity generation, but also for cement and lime, and also it has exploration interests also in Papua New Guinea, in other mines. Yes, that's correct.
All right, so here's the question. Do you think it is fair for NRL great Darren Lockyer to be making appearances around the country while he is a shareholder of Maya Resources Holding, a company that is pushing to mine coal in Gulf Province? If you say yes, you give your reasons as to why, and if you say no, give your reasons as to why, and we will review all your responses in our next episode. Bradley, your last thoughts?
Yeah, well, look, I think basically rugby league in Papua New Guinea still remains the #1 sport.
Absolutely.
And messages of interest that will benefit the country as a whole has to be channeled through that, and anything else that's not of interest to the general public or isn't good for humanity as a whole shouldn't be used in that regard.
That's right. Now, the question again, do you think it is fair for NRL great Darren Lockyer to be making appearances around the country while he is a shareholder of Mayor Resources Holdings, a company that is pushing to mine coal in Gulf Province? Go into our Facebook page and throw in your thoughts, and we will review it in our next episode. We'll go for a break now, and on the other side, we wrap things up here on Sports Scene. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're watching Sports Scene, and we have important guests with us in the studio from far left. We have Mr. Gordon Manu, who is the in charge of marketing for the OFC Local Organizing Committee. In the middle, of course, we have Dimerit Mileng, who is the General Secretary for the PNGFA, and of course, close to me is Jerry Allen, the Hekari United coach. Now, gentlemen, thank you very much, and good night to you all. Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Yep. All right, so let's get on with the conversations. Now, we have an important, game starting over the weekend, important for football in this country. Let's begin, of course, with you, Mr. Manu.
Thank you. Firstly, viewers, we're happy to present to all of you the OFC Champions League, which will be played here in Papua New Guinea. For the first time, we're hosting a pool here in Papua New Guinea, which comprises of Eastern Suburbs AFC from New Zealand, High-End Sports from New Caledonia, Galaxy AFC from Vanuatu, and our own very own Hekari United AFC from Port Moresby. The games will be starting this weekend from Sunday the 16th. We have the second match on the 19th, and the final match will be played on the 22nd of this month. But we're expecting a feast of football here in the nation's capital. We have cross range of players from around the world represented in all the 4 teams that will be competing, and we definitely know that they'll be putting up a feast of football for all those football followers throughout the country. We're sure that you'll be able to watch the games on live stream with OFC's Mike Cujo, or definitely if you have the time and you're in Port Moresby, or if you can fly over, you'll definitely watch the games here at Sejong Gai Stadium.
Talking about the Sejong Gai Stadium and watching the game live, for those of us who want to go and attend the games, for the ticketing.
Thank you. The ticketing will be actually produced and pre-sold through Ticketmasters. The tickets for the stands have been broken into categories. The grandstand tickets are going for 30 kina. If you come on the western wing of the grandstand and the eastern wing of the grandstand, the tickets are 20 kina. And on the eastern stands right across on the other side of the grandstand, the tickets are 10 kina. For children, we're basically trying to make an exception to get as many young kids as possible to come in. We've made a decision to allow children under the age of 15, hopefully, to get them all to come in and watch the games. And we're inviting the parents also to bring their kids along to watch. But the tickets will be going live today. And we hope that people who will be able to come and watch can purchase a ticket. We're also having tickets that will be sold online also through the Ticketmasters services.
Cool stuff. So now you know where to get the tickets. Now moving on, Mr. Dimerit, Mr. Mileng, sorry, pardon me. How important is this tournament of this magnitude hosted in Papua New Guinea?
Thank you. It's been a while, put it that way. It's been a while since we had a high-level competition in Papua New Guinea. And to bring the Champions League Group A match, it's fortunate that OFC actually reviewed the regulations as to how to host, and made it possible that a group stage could be hosted in a country, and with the backing of the club, in our case with Hikari, has put up the hands to say we want a game in Port Moresby, and so with the local organizing committee, they've been working around the clock to making sure that we make this tournament a success. And so for PNG or Papua New Guinea football followers, it's an exciting time after a long while to have such an event. As the LOC marketing guru has mentioned, we want as many kids who follow football to come along and watch the game. Encourage the parents to bring their kids along as well. So it's a milestone in what we are going to do today, and hopefully set a benchmark for PNGFA to continue to look to bring few more games.
That brings me to my next question. We're hosting the qualifiers here. If we do, is there a possibility of hosting the finals?
There is a possibility there to bring the finals here. Even with our club that's just traveled yesterday to Vanuatu, if they also win the group matches, that's the opportunity to also bring the games in the home soil. So, we want the local crowd to come and support Hikari. So, give the boys a boost and get them to play the best, and so we can have the finals here.
Great stuff. Now, Coach, exciting times for Hikari United. How prepared is the team?
Yes, right now I'm really excited about the game. As Milan said, it is the first time that PNG hosts the Champions League. But for my team, we prepared since last year, November, December, January, February now. And we are looking forward for this game, and we work really hard, and we can't wait to play on Sunday.
All right. So, in terms of the team's makeup, are we expecting a more diverse team with the imports from the region and also from the other parts of the world participate?
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting and very tough for all the teams, because most of the players come from the outside. Not only in the ocean there, but some in Brazil, England, and the list goes on. And it's going to be very interesting on Sunday.
All right, there you have it. Be sure to head out and show support for your local teams and or competitions. Now for the ones in Port Moresby, OC Group A first match this Sunday down at the Sergeant Guys Stadium. Be sure to go over there and check out the game. Apart from that, to be featured on the show, or if you know of an amazing sporting story or an interesting topic that you may want to put forward for our Have Your Say segment as well, you can always email us on sports@emtv.com.pg or message us on Facebook, that's on our Sportsin page, or call us on 312-9200 and ask for any of us, me or Bradley, and we would be more than happy to assist you. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm Dinos Raiko.
And I'm Bradley Valenaki.
Good night.